Johnny Baseball.
Hello and welcome back to Johnny Baseball. This episode is brought to you by
A. The letter A.
We're gonna freestyle about A! Time to think about the letter of the day, so let's say words that start with A. Ow! Avocado! That's A. Starts with letter A. That's A. Starts with letter A. A.
anger.
Astronaut.
You know, the A's get a really bad rap. I mean, honestly, so what? They traded a perennial MVP for a guy named Kendall Graveman, who may or may not be a real person. Listen, Kendall Graveman is a much cooler name than Josh Donaldson, and everyone knows that cool names sell jerseys. I mean, seriously, Kendall Graveman sounds like the name of some kind of undead supervillain. I'm like super excited for them to trade Sonny Gray this year for Archimedes Caminero. And I mean, so what? Their home ballpark doubles as a sewer for the city of Oakland. That's not a flaw, that's a feature. You could say a lot of things about the A's, but at the end of the day, at least their GM is Brad Pitt, right? And Chris Pratt plays first base for them. Am I wrong? I saw it in this documentary called Moneyball. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it. It's great. It's about how all these like really handsome celebrities are running the A's and making them great. So if nothing else, they just have a super handsome team. I mean, that is a stunning looking team. They just got to get Tom Cruise to play catcher and they're set. So let's look at 3 real reasons that the A's have something to look forward to this year. All right, so first up is Sean Manaea. Sean Manaea. Now I remember when he got called up, there was a bit of hype surrounding him, and he proceeded to get absolutely demolished, and then people just kind of forgot about him. But Manaea's season is really a tale of 2 halves. In the first half, he had a 5.24 ERA, over 67 innings, with a 2.72 average allowed, a 55 to 20 strikeout per walk, and 10 home runs. That's horrendous. But in the second half, he had a 2.67 ERA, over 77 2/3 innings, with a 2.18 average allowed, a 69 to 17 strikeout to walk, and again 10 home runs. I mean, that is a huge difference. I think it goes without saying that most rookies are going to have a pretty tough learning curve when they first come up. Over Manaea's first 32 innings, he had an ERA of over 7. But with young guys, usually if they start off really slow and manage to finish strong, I give them the benefit of the doubt just because if they have the pedigree, if they've shown an ability to adjust, I'm usually pretty confident that this is a guy that can figure it out and put it all together, and that the initial ugly numbers are just a bump in the road. He had a pretty solid ground ball percentage overall at 44.2%, and he managed to hold righties to a 259 average, which is not great, but as a lefty, if you can not get completely demolished by righties, you're on the right track. And to add to that, he absolutely dominated lefties. Lefties only hit 178 against him. A couple red flags in this guy's profile. He did have super drastic home and away splits. He had a 3.02 ERA at home and a 4.99 ERA on the road. I mean, Oakland Coliseum is obviously a great stadium to pitch in when it's not flooded by fecal matter, but he's not going to be able to pitch there all the time. That said, he did manage to improve his road numbers a little bit in the second half. He had a 1.5 ERA over his last 18 innings on the road, which is an encouraging sign, albeit a small sample. Definitely something to keep an eye on going forward. If he continues to have issues on the road, this could be a guy who's more of a spot starter, but like I said, he is a young guy and I do think he's capable of some really good growth, especially considering the adjustments he made in the second half. Hoping for something like a 3.4 ERA, like a 1.2 whip, and around an 8 K per 9, which I think is solid, and this is a guy who I haven't seen mentioned too much, so I think there's an opportunity there to get an above average pitcher for a very low price. Next up is my boy Rajai Davis. I like Rajai Davis. He's got a little spunk. If you rearrange the letters in his first name, you can almost spell Jafar. This guy gets no love year in and year out, constantly goes undrafted or drafted super late, and consistently puts up superb numbers. Is always getting overlooked. He even gets overlooked in real life baseball because teams constantly are using this guy as a weak side platoon option in the outfield, and he's shown that he can handle an everyday role. I mean, really, this guy almost never has a full-time gig, and his speed has always been elite. Excluding 2011, if you look back, every single year that he's played, he's put up on-pace numbers of 50 stolen bases over the course of a full season. And I actually did the math, and the amount of stolen bases he averages over 600 plate appearances is 54, which he pairs with a .267 career average and an average of 8.2 home runs per 600 plate appearances. A guy who hits .267 with 8 home runs and 50 stolen bases over the course of a year is a stud. So why has it taken this guy so long to get full-time at-bats?
Free Rajat! Free Rajat! Free Rajat! Free Rajat!
Seriously, somebody give this dude full-time at-bats, please! I mean, last year, Davis showed you what he could do with semi-regular at-bats. He had the second most plate appearances of his career last year and put up a .249, .306, .388 triple slash, which isn't great on its own, but when you pair it with 12 home runs and 43 stolen bases over that 495 plate appearances, that is some stellar production. I honestly have no idea why this guy gets used as a platoon player every year. As a right-handed batter, he has hit .256 against righties over his career, which is average to slightly above average. And I honestly love that he's with the A's now because that center field job is wide open and there's no competition coming up through the pipeline. So I think this guy is going to set a new career high in at-bats, and if he just does what he's done over the course of his career, he's going to give you some stellar numbers and is probably going to go undrafted. My projection for him is a .250, .310, .400 triple slash and 10 home runs. And you know what? I'll be a little conservative. I'll say 35 stolen bases, but that's on lockdown. Free Rajat! Free Rajat! Alright, this last spot was a toss-up between Ryan Healy and Jarrell Cotton. I'll be honest, these guys are getting a lot of sleeper love this year. I'm not huge on either of them. I think they both have some pretty serious red flags that people tend to overlook, but decided to give Ryan Healy the edge for my pick, mostly because he has Mr. Potato ears. That was the tiebreaker. So Healy had a really solid season last year. If you look at the peripherals, they point to him getting a little bit lucky, especially in the area of BABIP, where he had a .327. There's other metrics like his 16% home run per fly ball, which is obviously probably a fluke. And I didn't like that he hit 41.6% of his balls on the ground. So really the optimism in this guy comes from the fact that he's put up really good batting average numbers in the minors, so he clearly seems to be able to make good contact. He never really had good power numbers until last year, and people are saying that this coincides with the swing change that he made. We saw last year what a swing change can do with Jake Lamb, who managed to add a ton of power to his game. I honestly think that if this swing change is meaningful, then Healy could be able to add increased power, maybe league average power to slightly above, to a really good hit tool, which would make him super valuable. So here's a picture of Healy's load before he made the swing change. As you can see, his hands are essentially above his head, which I hear is not a good place to have your hands. Now here's an after picture. The load is a lot lower, and according to Healy, he's quoted as saying that he's added a slight uppercut to his swing now, and there's actually a theory that by changing your swing plane, you can create a higher chance of hard contact, since swinging slightly upward will match the path of the ball as it comes in from the pitcher at a downward angle. Nerd alert! Honestly, there are people much smarter than me that can explain it a little bit better, and why they're confident in Healy this year. I'm projecting Healy for a .270, .330, .430 split, and I could see 20 home runs, maybe more. If this guy can transfer the high averages from the minors to the majors and hit something closer to like .280, .285, and pair that with 20 plus home run power, I mean, that's some really great production from a corner infielder. Oh, you are my angel, little Healy. Alright guys, thanks for joining me. I'm trying my best to cut these things down as much as possible to take up as little time as I can. I really appreciate y'all tuning in. So thanks again for coming, and catch you later, baby.